Good morning, everyone. This video is for the review assignment on page AC 492 for Module 8, Sharing, Integrating, and Analyzing Data. Again, on page AC 492, Module 8, Sharing, Integrating, and Analyzing Data. I will be going over the steps for the review assignment. To do the review assignment, you need a number of different files. You will need the ads.xlsx, which is a workbook. You will need the partners.accdb, which is another database. You will need payables.csv, payments.xml, and the supplier.accdb, which is the database we've been using for the past 3 modules. Please go out and get those files out of student files on Blackboard, and when you do return, I will continue with this video. I will go ahead and continue since I already have those files stored in a folder on my desktop called This Week's Videos. So you might do something similar to that. All right, so step 1 is telling me to open the supplier database, which again is what we've used for the previous 3 chapters. So there we go. Step 2, export the query supplier products query as an HTML document to the same folder that I created with all my other files for this particular exercise. So I go to external data. I have 2 groups, import and link and export. You have to make sure that you click on the appropriate one. This one says export, so I want to be in this group over here called export. Export the query supplier products query. So I want to make sure that I click on that query. You don't need to double click and open it up. As a matter of fact, you shouldn't. Just click on it to select it. And then I'm going to come up here to export, and I'm looking for HTML, which I don't see listed, but I do have a More button here. So I'm going to click More, and there it is, HTML document. It says saving the file as QRY supplier products. Well, right here, it says specify the destination file name and format. It already has QRY supplier products. I'm going to browse and tell it exactly which folder I want it to save it in. Okay, this week's videos. Okay, I'm going to check the box for export data with formatting and layout. It continues on and says save the export steps with the name export-QRY supplier products. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK. There's nothing specified for me to do on this step, so I'm simply going to click OK. And it did say to save the export steps, and I want to save it as export-query supplier products. It does not tell me to add a description at this particular point, so I'm going to go ahead and say save export. But then the rest of the instructions for step 2 says once saved, modify the description to be HTML file containing the QRY supplier products query. Well, I did save my export steps, if you remember, so I'm going to go to the folder here called Saved Exports. There's the one that I just saved, and I have here that says click here to edit the description, which is what it's telling me to do in the last part of step 2. So I click on that, and in this white box is where I type HTML space file containing the QRY supplier products query. Click close, and we have completed step number 2. If you feel uncomfortable about that, you can always go out to that folder and see if you don't have a QRY supplier products.html in that folder. If you're seeing one, you know that you did it correctly. If you're not, you may want to try to do that step again. Step 3, import the CSV file named payables, which is located, and of course, in my folder as a new table in the database. So now I'm going to go over to import and link, and I'm going to click the new data source. And from file, I'm not seeing CSV in any of my options, but I happen to know that that would be a text file. So I'm going to go to from file down to text file. Okay, I'm going to go out to my folder. I'm going to browse to find that file called payables. There it is. And click open. Import the CSV file named payables, which is located in my folder as a new table. So import the source into a new table. So I click OK at this point. Use the names in the first row as the field names. There's nothing I need to do here. I'm just going to take a look at what they have here. So I click next. I do want to contain, the first row contains field names. Use the names in the first row as field names. Use currency as the data type for the numeric fields. So when I click next, I have the ability to click on payables and change it to a data type of currency. Same thing for paid. Click on it, change the data type to currency, and the same thing for owed. Change the data type to currency. All right, choose your own primary key. So I'm going to click next, and it says choose my own primary key. Click next, and name the table TBL Payables. So I just have to click in front of the P and type TBL so that it's TBL Payables. It does say run the table analyzer. That's this checkbox here. I would like a wizard to analyze my table after importing the data. I click finish. It starts to run the analyzer. Okay, there it is. Now it says, I had a message here, by the way, because I may have done this previously, so it was just saying you already have one. You probably didn't get that, so don't worry about that. Record the table analyzer's recommendations. You don't need to worry about that. Do not save the import steps. And I believe we'll just click next and next and next and say OK. And it says cancel out of the table analyzer wizard. So I'm just going to do that. And it says do not save, so we're going to click close. Okay, so that was step number 3. Let me read that again. Import the CSV file named payables, which is located in the access to the folder that we saved all our files in, as a new table in the database. Use the names in the first row as field names. Use currency as the data types for the numeric fields. Choose your own primary key, and then name the table payables. Make sure you run the table analyzer just to see the recommendations, but then you can cancel out of that without doing any other damage. And do not save the import steps. Okay, that was step number 3. Step number 4. Oh, by the way, there's your table up there called Table Payables. Step number 4, another import. Import the data and structure from the XML file named Payments, which is located, of course, in your folder. So I'm going to go to New Data Source. I'm looking for XML. Okay, and there it is, from File, XML File. I'm going to specify which one it is, so I'm going to click Browse, and I'm looking for payments.xml. There it is, payments. Okay, import the data and structure, so I click Open, and OK. I want structure and data, which the dot's next to down at the bottom. Okay, so let me keep reading this. Import the data and structure from the XML file named Payments, which is located in the same folder, as a new table named Table Payments. So I'm going to click the Table Payments. There it is right there. I'm going to click OK. Do not save the import steps, so I'm going to click Close. And there it is up here. We've got TBL Payments. And then it says to rename the table without an S. So I'm going to right-click go to rename and remove the S at the very end so that it's just called TBL payment. And that's step number 4. Step number 5, export. So we're going back to export this time. Export the TBL supplier table. So I'm just going to simply click on it to select it as an XML file named supplier into that same folder that I've been working in. So I'm going to go to, let's see, we're doing it as an XML, export XML file. So I'm going to click. I'm going to put it into the same. Actually, they want it just to be called supplier. So I'm going to take the TBL out, supplier, and I'm going to save it to my folder, which it already is. Okay. Click OK. It says here, do not create a separate XSD file. So I'm going to go to more options and see what I have as an option here. Go to schema. Okay, I don't want it to create a separate one, so I'm going to check the box that says embed schema and an exporting, so I'm not going to do it as a supplier XSD. That's what it says in my instructions. Do not create a separate XSD file. Click OK. Save the export steps. I'm going to check that box and use the default name given, which is export-supplier. I click Save Export, and we have completed step number 5. We've done 2 imports and 2 exports. Step 6. The Riverview Veterinary Care Center also pays for advertisements, and information on this activity is contained in an Excel file named Ads. Create a table named TBL Ads in the Career Care Center database that links to the Ads Excel file, which is located in that same folder. All right, so I'm going to go to Import, New Data Source, from File, Excel. I'm looking for the file called Ads. There it is, Ads. It's in my folder that I have out there on my desktop. I click Open, but I want to make sure that I click the link to the data source by creating a linked table so that it is directly linked to my workbook. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. First row looks good. They're not telling me to change anything here. They want me to call this TBL Ads, so I'm going to add a TBL at the beginning, Ads. I'm going to go ahead and click Finish. Click OK. And you can tell that it's linked to an Excel workbook by the little dash next to it and an Excel logo. Now what they want me to do is go out to the Excel workbook. So I'm actually going to go to my folder and actually open the Ads workbook. And in step number 6 at the very end, it says change the cost of the flyer ad to $150. So we have a change here of $150 for the flyer ad, $150 in cell C6. I'm going to save this and then close it. I'm going to go back to my database that I've been working in called Supplier, double click on this table called TBL Ads, and you can see that it's 150 here. The change was made automatically since they were linked. That's step number 6. Step number 7, modify the form suppliers with products. So I'm going to come down to my forms where I have Form Supplier with Products. I'm going to go to it in Design View. 7A, add a tab, add a tab control to the bottom of the detailed section. So the left edge is aligned with the left edge of the Notes label, and then place the existing subform on the first page of the tab control. So I'm going to scroll down, And I'm going to make a little bit more room for me to work with. So I'm going to go to the top of the form footer section. I'm going to align with 2 arrows, and I'm going to drag down. Just whatever you think is an appropriate. Don't go overboard. On my form, let's see, what design ribbon, I've got a drop-down arrow here. And I'm looking for the tab control. And it looks like it'd probably be this one right here. It's right next to the X's and next to the globe. It's called a tab control. Step 7A, add a tab control to the bottom of the detailed section. So I'm going to click on that, not hold it down, just click on it. I'm going to come down and it says to the left of the notes, which looks like it's right about on the 1 page. So I'm going to go right at the intersection of 6 on the left ruler and 1 on my top ruler and click. Add a tab control to the bottom of the detailed section so the left edge is aligned with the left edge of the notes label, and then place the existing subform on the first page of the tab control. So they wanted to have this subform added to the first page of my tab control, which is page 38. So make sure you're at 38 selected here. I'm going to click on the edge of my subform so that I can right-click and do cut. I'm moving this, okay? And I'm going to come down to the first tab, page 38 for me. It could be a totally different page number for you. The number does not mean anything. I'm going to right-click in here and do paste. And I have just added the subform as the first page, first tab of my multi-tab form. That was 7A. Add a tab control to the bottom of the detailed section so the left edge is aligned with the left edge of the notes label, and then place the existing subform on the first page of the tab. B. Change the caption of the left tab. So I'm going to click on page 38 here, and then I'm going to go to Property Sheet. And I'm going to click on the All tab here. So I clicked on page 38, Property Sheet, and then the All tab. And right here where it says Name, and it says page 38, I want to change that to say Product Space Data. And then I'm going to click on the other tab, page 39. You can see the first tab changed. And I'm going to highlight page 39, or whatever your page number is, and change that one to Product Space Chart. Okay. Step C. Change the caption of the main form's navigation buttons to Supplier. Change the caption. So I want to get to the main form. So I'm going to drop this arrow down and scroll all the way up to the top to where I can find Form. And then I'm going to look down here until I see Navigation Caption. And I want to change that to Supplier. So again, click in this white box, the drop arrow, find Form so that the properties are for the entire form. Look for Navigation Caption and change that to Supplier. That is step 7C. D, 7D. Add a chart to the second page of the tab control. So I want to come up here. I want to make sure I'm on the Product Chart tab. Make sure you're on the Product Chart tab. I'm going to go up here to where I have all my controls, like the label control, the macro control, the tab control. Drop this arrow down, and at the very, very bottom, I have Chart. And I'm going to click on that. And then I'm going to click in the top left corner of my product chart. And a wizard will come up that I can utilize. So let me read 7D. Add a chart to the second page of the tab control. Use the Table Product Table. So I want to make sure I select that table. Click Next. As the record source, select the product name. So I'm going to double click on product name and price. I'm going to double click on price. Add those two fields to the right. Click Next. It wants me to use the 3D column chart, which they tell me is row 1, column 2. So this one right here, 3D column chart. Okay, click next. Okay, there's really nothing for me to do here. Click next. Again, nothing for me to do here. Click next. It says no, do not display a legend. Click finish. And it wants me to change the title, which currently says TBL product. They want me to change that to products offered. So I'm going to click on it. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to go to chart object and edit. Right click, chart object, and edit. I'm going to click on the table product. All right, for some reason it went out again. Okay. I'm having some issues here. Right click, object, edit. I want to change. Well, let me change that. Let me take a brief pause here and see what it's telling me why I can't. Chart object. And stupid me, I was going to edit. I want open. Sorry about that. Open. Right click, chart object, open. Now I can click on table product and select it and replace it with, sometimes I have that little brain old man syndrome. Products offered. And then it says, so that's changing my title. So again, it's right click, chart object, open. Not edit, but open. Okay, that allows you to change your title to the correct title. And then finally 7E, change the chart to a 3D cluster bar chart. All right, bar chart. So I can right click, chart type, and change it to bar. Okay, let's see, what 3D cluster bar. So you keep clicking until you find it. 3D cluster bar. I'll go with, actually I'm going to go with this one. It doesn't say 3D, but I'm going to go with it anyway. 3D cluster bar chart. Okay. Click OK. And change the purple. I'm going to say this is my purple. Right click, format data series. So I clicked on one of the purple bars. It selected all of them. Right click, format data series, and I'm going to change it to a pink color. That is pink to me. I know that might be fuchsia to others. I'll click OK. And I believe that's all they want me to do. So I can click close this. And I have my chart on my second tab. Okay, so a little bit of a confusion there. Right click, chart object, open, and not edit. Okay, let's continue on. I'm going to close this. Say yes to saving my changes. I don't want to lose all that hard work. And I'm on to step number 8. And we're going to do yet another export. Export the table payment. So I'm going to scroll up, find table payment. Export the table payment table as a PDF file called payments. So back to external data I go. Export PDF or XPS. Okay. Using document structure tags for accessibilities. So I'm going to come down here to where it says options. And I'm going to say document structure tags for accessibilities. Check that box. Click OK. Click publish. Now it says open file after publishing. If you don't want that checked, if you don't want it to do that, you can uncheck that. Otherwise it will actually open it up as a PDF and you'll have to close it. So I'm going to uncheck that. Click publish. It tells me not to save the export step, so I click close. And we have completed step number 8. Step number 9. Open, I'm going to leave this database open, and it tells me to open Partners Database. Open the Partners Database, which was another file that we had to have ready to do this. Partners Database, and it has just the one table. Open the Partners Database from the Access To or whatever folder you had it in, and then create and implement an application part as follows. 9A, create an application part called vendor with the description new vendor and do not include the data. So I'm going to go to create, and we have application parts right here. I'm going to click on that, and it doesn't specify exactly which one to bring in. So I'm just going to do the top one. Okay. Now, it says create an application part called vendor with the description new vendor. So I'm going to right click on this and go to view properties and give it a description of new vendor. So I right clicked on the application part that I created and went to view properties and was able to type a description there. And they want me to rename this and simply call it vendor. Okay, that was 9A. 9B says to close this database. Okay. C, open the supplier database, which I already had it open, and import the vendor application part, which has no relationship to any of the other tables. Open the table new vendor table to verify the structure has been imported but does not contain any records. So we're going to go to external data. We're looking for importing, and we're importing it from a database access, and we're going to browse to find the partners one. That's the one that we did the new application part. Click open. Okay. Import tables queries, so that's what we want to keep it on. So click OK. We're importing the new vendor form application part that we created. So click on that. Forms tab, click on vendor, click OK, which has no relationship. Okay, so we're going to click close. And if I scroll down, there's the vendor that I brought in. So I'm going to double click on it. There's no data. Just to verify that, does not contain any records. That was step 9C. All right. 10 says simply make a backup copy of this. So I'm going to go to File, Save As, Backup Database, Save As. I'll save it into the exact same folder I've been saving everything else in today. Okay, click Save. Compact and Repair, so File, Compact and Repair Database, and then close the database. That wraps up for the review exercise for Module 8. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you and have a good rest of the day.